Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, says that he is cooperating with the special counsel's probe into possible cooperation between the Trump campaign and the Russian government.
The president's former personal attorney, Michael Cohen, agreed to a plea deal with prosecutors.
The New York Times reporting that former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort and his associate Rick Gates have been told to surrender to authorities.
Roger Stone, who is President Trump's longtime political advisor, was arrested at his home in Fort Lauderdale this morning.
President Trump appears to be taking a victory lap after the release of Attorney General William Barr's summary of the Mueller report. The president took to Twitter following the report's release. He called it a total exoneration.
No collusion, no obstruction. Complete and total exoneration. Keep America great. Centipedes, it's time to rejoice because Trump sure just dabbed on special counsel Mueller's investigation. It's a witch hunt anyways, and then he just straight fist fucked the 13 that rose to 18 angry Democrats while simultaneously just teabagging a piñata that looks like George Soros, and then for the finale he just closes it up with a victory lap around the Oval Office, okay? I haven't seen the entire cast of Fox News get this just gooey, slippery, just ready to plow wet since Ruth Bader Ginsburg broke her pelvis for the 12th time. Tucker Carlson tries to take a seat in his chair and he's just like, it's like he's on a water slide at Schlitterbahn New Braunfels or something, for Christ's sakes. Imagine being the subject of a 2-year investigation that leads to 34 indictments. Some of those include your former campaign manager, your former national security advisor, your former political advisor, a former campaign aide, another former campaign aide, etc., etc. And he still comes out completely Adam Scott Aukerman free. I would talk about luck. It's as if the Attorney General that is overseeing this entire investigation was handpicked by Donald Trump because he wrote a memo completely out of nowhere to the Department of Justice in which he said that he would never go after Donald Trump for obstruction of justice. And now he's leading the investigation to see if Donald Trump obstructed justice. Jesus Christ. Some people might say, Patrick, that sounds like corruption. I would say it's just more of qualified corruption. It seems that somehow Donald Trump has gotten his hands on the political equivalent of the Infinity Gauntlet, and now he's just bending reality to his will. And the man who makes up those stones is William Barr, Donald Trump's current Attorney General. William Barr is not your typical run-of-the-mill sub that Donald Trump has been hiring to his administration, like Wilbur Ross, the ventriloquist puppet, or John Oliver sent through a faulty teleportation device, Stephen Mnuchin. Before William Barr's unsolicited memo to the Department of Justice defending Donald Trump, he had essentially been completely radio silent for like 25 years. So why would he decide to come back into the spotlight now? Well, I don't mean to speculate too much, but that 25-year number sounds oddly close to the 27-year sabbatical Pennywise the Dancing Clown typically takes in between feasting off the fear and the suffering and the flesh of children. Am I claiming that William Barr feeds off the fear, the suffering, and the flesh of Americans? Yeah, I definitely am. I am willing to hold up a crisp $20 bill, it's a big $20 bill, and just smack it down on the table and bet you that this man is not human. I don't know what he is, but ain't human. William Barr looks like the cockroach alien from Men in Black 1 decided to ditch the Vincent D'Onofrio costume and try on John Goodman instead. It's either William Barr is some sort of multi-dimensional being that our current understanding of the universe just cannot explain, or he took a look at the Attorney General position, he said, "It's free real estate," and then decided to move back into the spotlight so he could fill those big old fucking fat pockets of his. However, I don't think the latter is very likely because Republicans don't really care much for money or power. Also, the sky is yellow, and the Percy Jackson films are the highest-grossing movies of all time. But let's actually dive in, take a closer look at all the fuckery that this jabroni is currently trying to pull on all of us. William Cullen Barr was born on May 23rd in 1950. He was raised in a Catholic household and seems to be a practicing Catholic to this day, with the way he is so hell-bent on fucking the entire youth of our country. William went to Columbia University, where he received a master's degree in government and Chinese studies. Barr then set a high bar by passing the bar. My boy WPB got himself a position with the CIA in the 1970s before moving on to a job working for Ronald Reagan's administration on his domestic policy staff in the early 1980s. This handsome little doughboy was really shaping himself up to be a fine Republican boy. He was beloved by Reagan and also seemed to steal the heart of Reagan's vice president, George H.W. Bush. No children. Not the shoe one. Now I'm talking Daddy W. I'm talking Papa Bush, bitch. George H.W. Bush became president himself in 1989 and immediately after being elected, appointed William Barr to the Assistant Attorney General position. But soon after that, George H.W. Bush appointed William Barr to the Deputy Attorney General position. But our precious little doughboy just kept on rising like a delicious Pillsbury roll in a conservative oven. H.W. nominated William Barr to become his actual Attorney General, completing this Pokemon's evolution process. Oddly enough, Barr's confirmation hearing went pretty smoothly with Republicans and Democrats alike. At the time, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Joe Biden, had this to say about Barr.
You've just set another landmark. You've given the first candid answer anyone has given on Roe v. Wade that I can remember in God knows how many years. I disagree with your view, but it's astounding to me, and you're to be complimented. Thank you for being candid with us.
Soon after, Biden also described Barr as a throwback to the days when we had an attorney general we could actually speak to, which really begs the question, how fucking old is Joe Biden to the point that he was reminiscing on the good old days 28 years ago? I swear to God, Biden's gotta be sucking the youth out of all those kids he keeps on touching.
See you, beautiful child.
All right,
Just
guys.
remember, no dates or boys till you're 30 years old.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll be darned. What a beautiful family. You guys get ready, Miller. Come on. There you go. No, you can stand up. That's okay. Remember, no dates till you're 30 years old. What are your seniors? Take care of the pup.
Keep your kids away from Joe Biden, because he's gonna suck the youth out of them. So, William Barr was confirmed as the Attorney General with pretty much unanimous support, and then that's when shit gets super weird, like in a history repeats itself sort of situation. Hindsight doesn't need to be 2020 whenever this already happened back in 1990. As I had previously mentioned, George Bush Sr. was the vice president for Reagan, while William Barr was also working for the Reagan administration. So let's back it up a little bit. Back it up to the days of the Reagan presidency. You see, back in the good old days when Ronald Reagan was still president, America used to dream. And Ronald Reagan was an American, which meant that he used to dream. Like MLK. He dreamt big. He dreamt of selling weapons to Iran. Ronald Reagan decided it was good to dream though, so he kept on dreaming. He dreamt that he could take the profits from those weapon sales to Iran and then fund the Contras rebel group in Nicaragua. When I say rebel group, I mean terrorist organization that used to kidnap, rape, torture, and execute innocent civilians, including children. The issue here, though, besides the obvious moral ones, is there is this thing happening with Iran where they were under an arms embargo, so it was illegal to sell them weapons. Another issue was stupid Democratic Socialist Congress didn't want the Reagan administration selling weapons to a terrorist group in Nicaragua. So naturally, the Reagan administration decided to do all that stuff anyways because YOLO, fuck it, and your boy H-Dub's gonna just be dropping pardons mad crazy anyways. So obviously, Reagan and his senior administration officials try to keep all the shit on the hush-hush anyways, but you know, word got out. An investigation was launched, and then indictments started being dropped like Trump administration officials. During this entire situation, Vice President George Bush was also running for president, and he managed to completely just skirt around all questions regarding the Iran-Contra scandal and still got elected. That is whenever he brought in William Barr to be the Assistant Attorney General, but then immediately after the Deputy Attorney General, and then the actual Attorney General. We've even got a couple of fun common themes with the Iran-Contra scandal. One being that conservatives at the time considered the investigation into the whole ordeal a witch hunt. There's a second one too, which is pretty small or whatever, but it's the fact that William Barr is a fucking Attorney General! Back during this time period, not only was William Barr just giving advice to George Bush Sr. about how to handle the entire Iran-Contra scandal, he was strongly encouraging pardons to be passed out to the administration officials who had been charged with things such as perjury, withholding evidence, and then another common theme, obstruction of justice. Bush Sr. gave 6 pardons to administration officials who we knew were guilty of perjury, withholding evidence, and obstruction of justice. We knew that these people were selling illegally weapons to Iran to then turn that around and illegally fund a terrorist organization. All of those people got off completely free. They faced literally 0 actual consequences. Meanwhile, in our country, to this day, if you're in the wrong state and you got a couple ounces of weed with you, you're going to fucking prison. The only fucking difference this time around is the Reagan administration was funding this terrorist organization, Nicaragua, to fight the socialists, the commies. This time around, William Barr is defending an administration who's working with the Russians. So I guess the moral of the story is growth. The worst part about all this is, though, I've spent this entire video only discussing William Barr's previous work as an attorney general, and it doesn't even scratch the surface as to why you should be extremely skeptical of this guy. I mean, this jabroni is so sketched that he couldn't pass an ocular pat-down if Sarah Huckabee Sanders was staring at him through a kaleidoscope. No collusion. But if we want to turn this shit around, we have got to get rid of these corrupt, silver spoon-fed, selfish, maniacal, completely disconnected, racist, xenophobic assholes. I mean, so far, like 300 fucking Democrats have announced that they're running for the presidency in 2020. If you have one you're already a fan of, that's fantastic. Make sure to spread the word about them, donate to them if you can. However, if you're having a hard time choosing because the pool seems to be a larger population than the entire state of Rhode Island, for fuck's sake, that's also completely cool. There's actually this really cool organization you should go check out. It's called Unify or Die. Essentially what it is, it's like a parking space for Monopoly fund for whoever becomes the next Democratic nominee. By the end of 2018 alone, Donald Trump had already secured $100 million for his re-election campaign in 2020. Now, even when half of that inevitably goes to pay off porn stars that Donald Trump has been dropping loads of gag sauce into, that still puts him at an extreme financial advantage to any of the Democratic nominees. So whatever you can, $1, $5, $10. $1 billion, if you can. But if you can't donate, that's also completely fine. It doesn't really matter, you know, because our plan is pretty much already fucked anyways. We are all going to boil alive.